Welcome to this joyous celebration here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Urbana-Champaign. I am Jenny Hunt, the chair of your Board of Trustees. We are so excited to have so many with us this morning as we celebrate this special time in our history of this congregation. And I am honored to be serving as the chair of the board during this exciting time. We are an intentionally inclusive congregation, and we are overjoyed that you are here. In that spirit, if you need a large print order of service or hearing support, please raise your hand and an usher will assist you. Speaking of audio, please check now to make sure that your phone is silenced so as not to disturb this sacred time together. A special welcome to all families and children. Children of all ages can stay for the service, which will be about 90 minutes, or at any time, children can go downstairs to the child care area for children up to 11 years old. We created fun opportunities in our program, so if you need colored pencils or crayons, no matter what your age is, please raise your hand and an usher will bring you some. We also hope that all members and friends will fill out the card found in your program and give it to an usher at the end of the service. What are your dreams? We want to know. There is live stream video in the fellowship hall for those who may need to leave during the service. Immediately after the service, we will move toward our reception area at the First Methodist Church, 2 blocks to the east, down by Lincoln Square. If you need a ride, please find an usher or a greeter. Let's celebrate.
Yeah. Amen. 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 Sing out now. Amen. 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 One more time. Amen. Sing out now. Amen. Make a joyful noise. Amen. 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 Whew. Singing together is a great place for us to start. When we sing together, we harmonize our hearts, we harmonize our breath, we remind ourselves that we are one within a community. This is an auspicious day for you. You are closing one chapter and opening a new chapter, something that is fairly rare in this congregation. We are so glad that you are here this morning, and the we I am talking about is Florence's colleagues. It is a gift for us to be with you, and I look forward to hearing what everyone has to say, and I look forward to seeing Florence smile. There we go. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
This flame represents the glowing coal of our congregation, putting love into action by sharing ministry, being warm and welcoming, working and playing together, supporting one another through difficult times, participating in social justice work, reaching out to the community with love.
Please join us now in the singing of hymn 318, We Would Be One.
Our hymn of love. It is my honor and pleasure to be with you today to bring the warm greetings of the staff and board of the Mid-America region of the Unitarian Universalist Association and the 186 member congregations which comprise this region. Image for a moment, a collective light of love and support shining here on this wintry day, a milestone day where your congregation is installing the Reverend Florence Caplow as your settled minister. As Reverend Peter Rabel has thoughtfully expressed, for over 350 years on this continent, congregations have boldly embodied the best of the Cambridge platform and our shared congregational polity by proclaiming that a community and congregation such as yourselves were the best equipped to select and install a settled minister. As a denominational leader which serves this congregation, I want to share that I want to make sure that you understand that there is enthusiastic support throughout the entire region. I also want to indicate that I think you have made a very wise decision. My experience in consulting and working with this congregation in Florence is that she has a love for community, a love for this congregation, a love of our shared covenantal faith, and her deep calling is superbly evident. In closing, I would appeal to each of you, as congregational leaders, seek closer bonds with the congregations in this cluster and across the region and across the nation. It is the depth of our relationships which can truly transform the world, and may it be so.
Florence. I knew when we met she would be special because she and my mom share the same first name. So, on behalf of the Sisters in Faith Leadership Group, I would like to offer a prayer, especially for you. You have been such a vital part of our community of sisters, and yesterday I was in my meditation and prayer work, and these words came to me about you. So on behalf of all of us, I share them and pray them for you. Father, Mother, God of us all, grant our beloved Florence your grace and mercy as she embarks upon this next chapter of her most amazing life. Continue to be the guiding force that allows her insightfulness, her empathy, her compassion, and her passion to fuel her ministry, to shepherd her flock, and to bring justice to the world. As Florence embodies truth and integrity, gird her for the opposing forces that will come her way. Supply her with mega doses of strength, courage, and your most powerful remedy of all, love, resulting in such negativity reverting back into that nothingness from which it came. Nurture her healthy sense of curiosity that she may serve you and our community at her highest level of consciousness. Enfold her with your desire for peace so that she may embody it and encourage others to do your work through themselves. As her inner radiance beams forth, reminding us that Spirit lives within her and expresses through her, show us that Florence is a bright beacon in this temporarily dark place, exuding hope for a better future and release from a painful past. And in those times when she may feel powerless or that her efforts seem futile, gently and lovingly remind her that you are with her always, and your power, expressing through her, cannot be defeated. This we know to be the divine truth about the Reverend Florence Caplow, and we simply say, thank you for this expression of your spirit form in her human form. And in deepest gratitude and with complete joy, together we affirm, and so it is. So it is. Amen. Amen. All right.
Good morning. I am delighted to be here for this joyful time of community celebration. I'm here on behalf of the Interfaith Alliance of Champaign County and also on behalf of your neighbors at First Mennonite Church just down the road where I pastor. And I want to thank Reverend Caplow for the invitation to offer a blessing this morning. And I also want to thank each of you here at the UU Church of Urbana-Champaign for your commitment to this community. While I've not attended a service here before today, I do know many of you through your acts of justice and kindness and love, and I'm grateful for that. I like to talk about the Interfaith Alliance as people of faith to get together, building revolutionary friendships for the long haul. It's a recognition that this shared work of community building that we're all doing has no shortcuts. There isn't an easy button for the work of promoting justice and making peace. And yet that hard part of the work, I find, is also the most rewarding. In other words, friendship can be a revolutionary act. And it's in the hard work of learning about others, work that I know Florence is committed to deeply. It's in that hard work that we find more in common than we thought possible, and we discover in our differences not a cause for division, but a cause for celebration. So it's my privilege to witness the celebration today of the coming together of Reverend Florence's ministry with the ministry of this congregation. And I say with others who've already said it today, what marvelous partners you are and will be. I have no doubt that your shared work together will continue to inspire and bless our whole community. And that in that spirit, I want to offer these words of blessing for your shared ministry. Blessed are the peacemakers, for you are children of love. In the search for a world without hate, may you find the courage to speak truth to power, the grace to greet fear with compassion, the faith to face injustice without backing down, the strength to live always in love. Blessed are the peacemakers, for you are children of hope. In the struggle for justice, may your passion inflame hope for those pushed to the margins, like the sun that empowers this sacred place. May your advocacy generate sanctuary on the edges of society, safety for those on the run, security for those without hope. May your fellowship be an ecological safe haven for all creatures. Blessed are the peacemakers, for you are children of joy. As you activate love in and for each other, may this community be a place of laughter. In your advocacy for Black and brown lives, for LGBTQ justice, for gender equality, for the rights of immigrants and refugees, for environmental justice, in your tender care for one another, may you know this work always to be a celebration of beauty and a proclamation of joy. Amen. Amen. May the Spirit make it so.
Good morning. Good morning, Reverend Caplow. we welcome you to the Champaign-Urbana area and look forward to working with you. My name is Felicia Freeman. I'm standing in the stead of Reverend Robert Freeman, who is the pastor of First United Methodist Church here in Urbana. We're your neighbors right across the street here on Race Street. And you'll get to have opportunity to celebrate there with your luncheon this afternoon.
Thank you.
Good morning. I bring you greetings from First United Methodist Church of Urbana. We welcome Reverend Caplow and truly believe that if we, as a body, focus on the original intent for our faith journey to love, truly, we will bring justice and peace that can be realized in ourselves and in the surrounding community. We look forward to partnering with you and to find ways to love our neighbors, especially those that are hidden in the creases of our society. And let me say a small blessing. Lord God, I just thank you so much for this congregation. I thank you for their open arms to Reverend Caplow. I thank you for all their work that they plan to do within the community, the love that they will share with her, this community, and between one another. May God's blessing be upon you, upon this congregation, and upon Reverend Caplow as she begins her work here and continues it in love and justice. Amen. One sorry word here. I want to apologize. I'm going to actually have to leave. Our charge conference is today in Danville. So that's why I came instead of my husband today. So if you would please forgive me, because I really hate leaving out of a church, you know, at this time. But please forgive me. Our love and our thoughts are with you at this time of celebration.
Blessed good morning, friends. I greet you in the stead of the Reverend Nika Eaton Gwynn, minister of Conejo Valley UU Fellowship and longtime dear friend of Reverend Florence. Reverend Nika traveled here to celebrate with us, only to discover that her Ventura County community was under siege. The bond with her congregation being what it is, the very essence of ministry that we proclaim and bless today, she returned yesterday to California to be with her people. For those of you whom I have not yet had the pleasure to meet, I am Reverend Janet Elaine Guthrie. As a friend of both Reverend Florence and of your congregation, I am honored to read a message from Reverend Nika. Beloveds, I so wish I could be with you today to celebrate your sacred shared ministry with Reverend Florence. I have known and loved Florence for many years. I've walked with her on this journey of ministry that has led her to all of you beautiful souls. I believe in my heart in my core being that you are blessed by her presence, as indeed she is so very blessed by yours. However, as John Lennon intoned, life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. In the wake of a mass shooting and raging fires threatening my congregation, I need to return immediately to be back with my people. If all of this teaches me anything, it's that in the end, all that matters is that we love and care for each other. It nudges me to remember that together, we're so much more than we are apart. We are companions, guides, and healers for one another's journeys. As you celebrate your shared ministry today, may you remember always the gift you have in each other, the gift of shared wisdom, the gift of fellowship, the gift of courage and strength for the hard times, and surely the rewards of joy and gratitude for the good times that will be part of this journey as well. May you and Reverend Florence walk together in joy and in kindness, in empathy and in understanding, in celebration and in sorrow. May you help each other flourish and become a beacon of light and love that radiates healing to all who need it. May you indeed be one as you pledge yourselves to greater service in the name of love and justice. May it be so. Holding Reverend Nika's lovely blessing words close, let us join our hearts and minds in prayer. Spirit of life and song of love, you touch us and move through our beings. Remind us often that each one of us is a special instrument of yours. Together, we create the wondrous music in your concert of love. We lift up our California sisters and brothers reeling from multiple tragedies. We pray safety for residents and responders, compassionate aid and comfort for the displaced and distressed, and courage for the months of restoring lives that lie ahead. Especially we remember Reverend Nika and the Conejo Valley UU Fellowship as they minister to one another and the community of Ventura County. Encourage and empower them to be instruments of healing and hope. Come now and make music through the lives of the people of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Champaign-Urbana. Today in celebration and henceforth in service, fill every heart with notes of joy and compassion. May your song of kindness and patience be sung sweetly through us. May the melody of healing and hope sound strong and true. May the chorus of justice-seeking and peacemaking ring out. May the harmony of our voices reveal your symphony of love. May it ever be so. Amen. Now I invite you to rise in body or spirit for the hymn As Tranquil Streams, number 145, which has an amazing history as noted in your bulletin.
One What a blessing to be here today. What a blessing it is to celebrate this auspicious moment in this sacred place. This congregation has traveled a long and remarkable path to arrive here today. The journey, you recall, began 160 years ago when a Universalist preacher named W.W. King came to town to debate a local Methodist minister on the burning theological issues of their day. Is our fate damnation or salvation? Their debate lasted 8 days. And it drew a considerable crowd, and Reverend King made a compelling case for the final holiness and happiness of the human race. In a time when many ministers fueled fear, preaching fire and brimstone, this radical message of hope struck a chord for the citizens of Urbana. Just a few months later, 44 of them founded this church and called Reverend T.C. Eaton as their first minister. It was a time of deep theological and political divisions. This church was less than 2 years old when the Civil War broke out. But even in the midst of war and the upheavals that followed, even as ministers came and went, this congregation and its message of radical hope and healing persisted.
When we arrived here in 1996, our son Noah was 2.5 and our daughter Sophia was 5 months old. Bill Clinton was about to be reelected for his second term as president. Pokemon cards had just come out, and Dolly the sheep was cloned. There were only about 100,000 websites in the world, instead of the current over 1 billion. Fox News Channel began in 1996. Many things in our world have changed since 1996, so many of them which we could not have imagined. Some things that have not changed, however, the great need for a progressive Unitarian Universalist faith community in Urbana-Champaign, the importance of shared ministry, and the incredibly warm, wise, and welcoming congregation that you are.
Amen.
Our 19 years in Urbana-Champaign were remarkable because of all of you. We grew, as did this congregation, in depth and breadth and experience. We rejoiced with you, and we mourned with you, and we laughed, and we cried, and we planned and produced, and we hoped and we dreamed. We cannot imagine a more supportive community in which to have raised our children and followed our ministerial calling.
We know what an amazing congregation you are and how much you deserve great ministry. We are so happy that you have found the very gifted Reverend Florence Caplow to join the long and proud line of ministers who have had the privilege to serve this congregation. We know that she will work marvelously with you to continue the 160-year-long legacy of sustaining the bright beacon of the liberal church on the corner of Green and Birch. We wish you many happy and healthy years together. Thank you.
Tradition and innovation. As the hymn we sang a few minutes ago puts it, ours is a freedom that reveres the past, but trusts the dawning future more. We gather today in a tradition that has stood since the first churches in this country, the installation of a new minister. And yet we know and hope that this minister and this ministry will look forward with fresh eyes, tradition and innovation. As we gather to celebrate this new ministry you create together, we honor another tradition, that of taking an offering from the people. As countless of our forebears did, we pass a plate from hand to hand, tradition. I ask you, why? Surely we could just put a QR code on the order of service, which we could each snap with our cell phones, and give more easily and quickly. Surely it would be just as quick for PayPal or Apple Pay to take the offering and be done. We would have it all over with in seconds. With the remoteness of electronic communications, we would probably even give more than if we were to place cash or a check into an offering basket. So why do we opt for tradition over innovation in this moment? It isn't nostalgia or wishing for a time when things are other than they are now. We do not do it thoughtlessly or without intention. We do it as a ritual of care, a spiritual practice that reminds us that in the tradition of the free church, only we direct our fate as people of faith. We accept no outside authority determining what it is we will believe or how we will come together. We alone are responsible for constructing and supporting this faith. Together, you and I co-create this faith through our actions and our gifts. This morning's offering will go to honor both tradition and innovation. It will go to support the Living Tradition Fund that provides critically needed support to our ministers and seminarians. No one ever went into the ministry to get rich. But today our ministers are incurring upwards of $100,000 in debt before they reach ordination. Last year, 104 of our ministers applied for debt reduction grants, and in total, those 104 ministers carried $6 million in debt. This says nothing of the financial hardships of illness or loss of jobs that may follow. And so when we gather to ordain our ministers, to install them in congregations, when we recognize their retirements, it is our tradition to give to the Living Tradition Fund that offers assistance when times are the hardest. But in the spirit of innovation, today's offering will be split with DRUM, Diverse Revolutionary UU Multicultural Ministries. In recognition that to be forward-looking in these times means to support inclusivity with more than intention and words, DRUM holds a vision for justice and self-determination for the people of color within our denomination and beyond. Springing from a series similar period of intense institutional reflection, Drum was established in 1997 and has grown to be an intergenerational, multiracial community of lay people and religious professionals working for a more just and inclusive association. So if the support of professional leadership and inclusivity speaks to your values, I invite you to give generously. But as we enter into this centuries-old ritual of passing plate from hand to hand, this ritual of offering our gifts, remember this: it isn't a matter of how much is in our wallets, but how much is in our hearts. We enter into religious community voluntarily because it offers the possibility of transformation. Let us offer the same, the possibility of transformation when tradition meets innovation. Let us show in this ritual of care what is in our hearts. Por lo tanto, puede ser.
Some of you who have attended other Unitarian Universalist installations know that usually the sermon is given by a highly regarded visiting minister. But for this celebration of shared ministry, our minister asked us to give the sermon as members of UUCUC. Each of us will be responding personally to the question, what is your dream for this congregation? My name is Umita Sadarangani. As an outsider, I'm a lesbian immigrant of color in a mostly straight white society. I'm a community college professor in the home of a major research university. And as a woman aware of my privilege, raised comfortably middle class and Hindu in India, my dream for this congregation is that it continues to grow in its hospitality to those who might be vulnerable or ostracized, and that this beloved place is known as a source of activism, love, and sanctuary.
My name is Tesla Barak. As a black girl who loves singing in the choir and is very joyful to come to church to see my friends, my dream for this congregation is that we be like a family full of people with every different color of skin, and we should have donuts.
My name is Scott Godlew, and as a new and nesting member of UUCUC, my dream for this congregation is that new and established members will find the joy and enrichment of deeper and more meaningful connections with other members with whom they resonate, and that the sanctuary that we find in these connections allows us to serve our church and community more generously.
My name is Celia Barbieri, and as a young woman who just recently joined the church, my dream for this congregation is to see it increase in diversity in every possible way. We're making progress, but I'd love to see a greater variety of sexual orientations, ethnicities, ages, and everything else in the future.
Hello, my name is Christina Kahn. As somebody who struggles daily with other members of our community for revolutionary social change, my dream for our congregation is that we build a sanctuary community in which the richness of our values are clear when one walks through the door, and where we make the unbearable bearable for one another. My dream for us is that we never acquiesce to waves of fascism, but unflinchingly demand the creation of this new free world we carry in our hearts.
Yes.
Hello, I'm Walt McMahon, a longtime member of this church since 1957. I see sustained growth with many new programs, new members, and a higher level of activity. I think this church has a vision for a community of mutual support, a philosophy of reasonableness, respect for science, intolerance of the views of others, a compassion for the less fortunate in our world, and our desire to make the world a better place. My dream is that I would like to see this philosophy and compassion be sustained and grow with an increasing effectiveness in our world and our community here. And I hope that we have the vision and take the steps necessary to make this happen.
Good morning. My name is Shamim Anozi from Uganda. As an immigrant, my dream for this congregation is to be ministers of pure love by embracing everyone from all walks of life, regardless of race, culture, gender, age, etc. I want us to be soul touchers and vessels of pure compassion, mending the brokenhearted and giving them a hope and a reason to live.
Hello, my name is Sally Babbitt. As a woman, mom, granny, elder, old, longtime member of this congregation, my dream is for it to continue its warm and welcoming ways and attitude and hugs for all who come through our door. To find a way to air condition and expand this sanctuary and the money to fund it, and to determine how to expand and yet keep and maintain the traditions that have ebbed and flowed over the years. Last but not least, to provide Florence Caplow the place and space she needs to fulfill her dreams and goals for our congregation without overwhelming her spirit.
My name is Laura Breeze Troyer. As a parent, my dream for this congregation is that we continue to be a place where people of all ages feel welcome and nurtured. I came to this congregation seeking community, a place to receive support to raise my children, a place that celebrates diversity, a place where the ideas and opinions of children are heard and valued, a place for intergenerational connection, a place where it's okay to ask questions, a place for us to dream together, a place to feel part of something larger than ourselves, a place for us all to feel at home.
And now we ask that you stand as willing and able to join with us in singing our intention, Love Prepare Me, our sanctuary song from the month of October.
Holy
one more time. Love, prepare me to be a sanctuary, now made holy, love right through, with thanksgiving, we are a living sanctuary for you.
Good morning. What is installation? My son, who has made a number of different kind of films recently, made a film for a major plumbing company on how to install a kind of high-end faucet. And in this film, he is doing the actions one by one as a soothing voice in the background says, carefully lift so-and-so and place it here, tighten it, and voila, it works. Reverend Caplow, I have come to the conclusion that this is not the model we are working with. So what then is installation, if not the one that has to do with plumbing and all other kinds of practical devices? A second definition of installation that is common is to install a person into an office or a position, period. That one is closer, and yet it lacks any nuance, any statement of passion, no mention of calling, no intimacy of people involved in something sacred. This commitment of Reverend Caplow and the church today, these vows, this set of promises, mark a moment in the life of this minister and this congregation, which will change the lives of all who are part of this relationship. Gordon McKeeman calls ministry a quality of relationship, something that summons us to our better selves. And ministry, in fact, does call us to our better selves, sometimes even when we don't want to be our better selves. And yet, that is the promise that we make, to keep trying for that quality of relationship. It's the standard we set, even though we fall short. Throughout the language of this service, a theme is repeated of shared ministry. And indeed, in a community like this one, truly everyone is a minister. Some of us choose to take the calling of ministry as our profession, as members of a long and honorable tradition, agreeing to be ministers according to its standards and traditions. But all of us who participate in this relationship are ministers, and we are called to our best selves, called to journey together toward a vision that reflects our dreams and the needs of our world. And so this day marks a moment in time. A deep reality is acknowledged, commitments are sealed with words and music and celebration. Those who participate are all in. No one will ever be the same, especially Reverend Caplow and the members of this church. This kind of go-for-it commitment is a wonderful place to be. For truly, what lies ahead is a time of great adventure and something supremely worth doing. And so now, may the spirits of inclusive love and shared ministry bless this moment and give us courage on the path.
And if you'll turn, to page 8, you can be able to follow along with the parts that you become a part of. We gather today to rededicate ourselves to the mission and values of this congregation and our Unitarian Universalist faith, and to celebrate our shared ministry with each other and with Reverend Florence Caplow. We celebrate this congregation's call to nurture spiritually courageous people who transform the world through justice and compassion. Ours is a free church in which the act of installation celebrates a covenant freely made between members of the congregation and the minister whom we have chosen and who has chosen us. In the living tradition of Unitarian Universalism, the authority and privilege of calling ministers has always rested solely with the congregation. The relationship between ministers and congregation is one of trust and mutual dedication to the principles of our faith. We have called you to be among us, to make our concerns your concerns, and to lead us by nurturing us to be spiritually courageous, wholehearted people. We have already recognized and benefited from your calling to the ministry. Now, on this day, we formally install you as our settled minister. Reverend Caplow, are you ready and willing to undertake the sacred commitments of this ministry?
I am. I am honored to be called to this congregation. I vow to serve this church with my whole being, always seeking the congregation's highest good. It is my great privilege to walk together with you in the path of love and justice, sharing ministry with you.
We feel a strong sense of commitment and responsibility for maintaining our beloved community. We enthusiastically embrace a ministry, service, and engagement, and ask you to encourage us in these difficult times. Will you sustain us, inspire us, and help us on the journey together? You may be seated.
I will, to the best of my ability. As we walk together, the vision we share will light the path before us.
Now, if our children and youth would please rise and join me. Will you laugh with us, comfort us, grow with us, and learn from us?
This is your spiritual home. I will appreciate you, care for you, learn from you, and encourage you, as will we all here.
We strive
to create an environment of respect and growth, and to strengthen the tremendous leadership of the lay members here. Will you support us, encourage us, work together with us, and appreciate our vision and leadership?
I will work alongside you, sharing the weight of professional leadership in this faith community. To the best of my ability, I will strive to encourage you and support you in your work and in your journey here as we strive to create a strong and resilient staff.
We know that ministry can be isolating and challenging. Will you remember your relationships with colleagues, giving and receiving the camaraderie and support we offer?
I am grateful for your circle of support and your love and your caring. I pledge to be present with you as your colleague and friend, and listen when you call me back into covenant and community. So these are my family and friends. I mean, it could be everybody, but.
We love you.
And want to support you. That is why we are here today. Will you balance and take care of relationships in your own spirit in the midst of the intensity and sincerity of life?
I am grateful for your love and nurturing. I pledge to remember your request to take care of my own spirit and my beloved relationships. Thank you. UUCUC members, friends and staff, children and youth, family, friends and colleagues, I ask in return that you share with me your joys and your sorrows, your strengths and your longings. Will you recognize my humanity and my limitations and strive to speak your truth in love to me and to one another?
We will. Will all of the voting members of Unitarian Universalist Church of Urbana-Champaign please rise and join me in the act of installation? We, the members of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Urbana-Champaign, do hereby install you, the Reverend Florence Caplow, as the minister of our congregation. We call you to dwell among us, speaking the truth in freedom and love, ministering to us in our joys and sorrows, expressing the wonder and mystery of life, and encouraging each of us to fulfill our unique ministries. We would have you lead us into deep connection with everything holy and to a wider commitment to justice and compassion. We will support you as we support one another. We pledge ourselves to walk with you in the unity of spirit, in the bond of peace, and in the ways of truth and love, sharing the ministry of this congregation with you, that together we might be a blessing to the world.
With great joy and a deep sense of responsibility, I take up the ministry to which you, the members of UUCUC, have called me. I promise to serve you and our Unitarian Universalist faith, living tradition to the best of my abilities. Committed to right relations, I will cherish and cultivate the ways of reason, compassion, and service among you. May we together be a blessing to one another and to the world.
Will all who wish to add their love and encouragement to this ceremony now please rise in body or spirit and join in affirmation of this installation. In the beauty of this autumn morning, we witness an unrepeatable moment. We, the gathered congregation of friends, family, and colleagues, recognize and affirm you as the minister of this congregation. We rejoice with you on this occasion and offer you our continuing prayers, friendship, and support. May your ministry be a blessing to this congregation and to the world. And let the people say, Amen, and blessed be.
Amen, and blessed be. Yes. I will sing
In thinking about a gift for you, Florence, it was important to us to give you a gift that communicated both our love for you and our shared love of our planet. We also wanted to pay homage to the land upon which you were raised and to which you have returned to serve as our minister. We hope that we have found a way to honor and thank you for your service to our congregation and to Mother Earth.
In your first sermon to us, you spoke of why occasional prairie fires are necessary for the health of the prairie. You use prairie fire as a powerful metaphor to represent the occasional activist-driven upheavals that are necessary for meaningful social change and the health of our society.
Clean, safe water is one of our Earth's most precious resources, necessary for all life as we know it. We thank you for your efforts and leadership to preserve and protect this treasure for generations to come.
In order to merge together these two classical elements into one gift, we knew we needed a creative artist and a skilled craftsperson. We brought together a couple of wonderful and talented members of this congregation, whom I would like to ask to stand if they are willing. Heidi Richter and Kathy Cunningham, would you please stand? I believe they're both in the back. Thank you. The gift that they have created was using both the fire and the water images, and we hope you get a lot of use out of it while you continue your ministry and the congregation to our planet. Please accept this gift of love and service from us. And as you can see, it's a stole, and on one side is water, and on the other side is a prairie fire.
Well, in the spirit of shared ministry, I have a little gift back, only it's not so little. And I think what we'll do, let's see. So I love our water communion, that ceremony and ritual that came to us from Unitarian Universalist women in the 1980s, our water communion. And so I wanted to find something that really expressed our communion together. And so this is what I came up with. So water communion bowl, may it be used in the years and decades to come. It was hard to hide all this time. It was under the piano.
Imata, Imafa, Imasomoro, Uruba Meze. I'm Joe Omosagie. I am here because Reverend Caplow asked Deidre Cobb, as a member of this congregation, to offer a charge for racial justice. In this celebration, along with the usual charge to the minister and a charge to the congregation, Deidre was unexpectedly called out of town, so I was asked to share these words, and the song was just mine because it pulled it all together for me. To whom does racial justice apply to? To the 1%? To the 99%? To any or every one of us? We've been all touched by the sword of fear that the beast swings. What is racial justice at UUCU? A detoxification, a spiritual journey that involves looking at our most tender parts, examining our internal wounds, acknowledging the pain that has been both inflicted and endured, past and present, acknowledging the imbalances that our pain has manifested within us, making a commitment towards healing by every means necessary, telling the whole truth, committing to the equitable and ethical distribution of resources, and loving oneself and all beings. How do we achieve racial justice? By understanding that all life is sacred and divinely intelligent, and living with this at the forefront of everything we do. Let the lighting of every UU candle and every RE class taught to be a commitment to our collective healing of this work. Why racial justice? It is only through our collective healing that we can heal our generational wounds from living in a society steeped in fear and imbalance for so long. At this crucial period in our country and on our planet, it is imperative that we do the work. UUC, how many to be used? It is tremendously blessed to install our dear Minister Florence Caplow, who has already demonstrated her commitment to healing herself and many others, both near and far, for many years. By acknowledging and healing the behaviors that we have acquired from living in fear, we may gain to access the infinite abundance of love. May we all be blessed to know and be nurtured by the abundant love of God. Ami Ashe.
It is a privilege to share this moment and this sacred occasion with you, our colleagues, and so many friends in this larger community, and to participate in what we call the charge to the minister. And the charge, of course, is at once an act of commission, but also a reminder of the wells of spirituality that have nurtured you and fed you, and by inference, all those who gather around you today. And the charge I offer today was composed by your friend and a colleague, the Reverend Ford. And he writes, "Dear Florence Zenshin, in your wonderful book entitled Hidden Lamp, you shared a commentary on a koan, those ancient spiritual stories that form a core part of the Zen tradition. This was one from the Chinese anthology of koans entitled Compendium of the Five Lamps, which tells of a monk who asked an old woman to name her relatives. She answered, 'The mountains, rivers, and the whole earth, plants and trees.' And I would add, of course, every man and woman and child. And of course, the least and the greatest of things, our family, all of it, without exception." Now you are embarked on a difficult, actually an impossible task. This wonderful community who has called you as their minister is many more than the 300 or so who've signed the book as members. They are also their extended families. They are also the people in this neighborhood, actually within this city. And it doesn't stop there. We begin to see the circles of connection, and we quickly discover it's like those Russian dolls, one inside the other. And soon, you bet, we move from those within these walls out to the prairie, to the mountains, the rivers, and yes, the whole earth. And yet, it doesn't even stop there. So, did I use the word impossible yet? Impossible. And yet, you and I have both taken the Bodhisattva's vow. You are committed to not turning away, to turn to broken hearts, to carry a word of hope, to being companions to all those who wish to cross to the furthest shore. Impossible. I find myself thinking about that koan, about the old woman and her relatives. As you recall, a koan is not merely a thorny question. A koan is a matter to be made clear. A koan is a pointing to the great truths in our lives and an invitation to stand in that place. As you wrote in your book, I close my eyes and say, across the years, how distant are those relatives of yours? She says, come closer. I lean forward, even closer, the intimate way. That's our way. That's our ministry. That's your ministry. That's our vow. That's your vow. Nothing less. The koan revealed. Dear sister, much love, many blessings. James Mayun.
It looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm going to walk it with you. Now, the choir sang this song on the Sunday when you called Reverend Florence to be your minister. And again today as she is installed. And you know what I think? I think this is your love song, right? You are saying with this song over and over, you are saying to each other, we love each other. We will hang in here no matter how long the night or how hard the fight. And we know, given the times that we are living in, that we have some hard fights to come. I'm the Reverend Nancy Palmer Jones. I serve as senior minister at the First Unitarian Church of San Jose, and I have the joy of serving as Reverend Florence's official UUA mentor and friend. This means that for years now, in monthly conversations or more, she and I have been wrestling with and puzzling over and falling into and out of and back into love again with this call to ministry that we both feel so powerfully. Now I am called to offer you a charge for the next part of this love story that you and Reverend Florence are creating. My three charges for you arise out of the book that my co-author, Karen Lynn, who is a lay leader in Cambridge, Massachusetts, a lay leader like all of you, that my co-author, Karen Lynn, and I will send to the publisher in just 9 days. It's called Mistakes, Misgivings, and Miracles. Congregations on the Road to Multiculturalism. Mistakes, misgivings, and miracles. Congregations on the Road to Multiculturalism. It tells the stories of 5 Unitarian Universalist congregations on the road to building multicultural, anti-racist, beloved community. And let me tell you, one of your members has told me to not hold back. So let us dive in. Charge number 1. Dear members and friends of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Urbana-Champaign, you need to be one of these congregations, intentionally creating multicultural, anti-racist, beloved community. The UUA Leadership Council defines this kind of beloved community as a place, quote, where all souls are welcomed and the human family lives whole and reconciled. All souls are welcomed, and the human family lives whole and reconciled. You can't create this kind of community without setting an intentional, overarching goal, a goal that surpasses even your longing for anti-racism and diversity within your pews. And you use this goal to measure every single action that the community takes. It is a goal that sums up the very call of our Unitarian Universalist faith. In San Jose, we say that we are making love visible, with a capital M and L and V. We are making love visible in all that we do and say, and we measure everything we do against whether it is making love visible. You can see how that would mean automatically that we become a place where the human family lives whole and reconciled and all souls are welcome. So the only way that we can accomplish that kind of goal is by learning a whole new way of being together, and by dismantling the dominant culture that sets one group, white, cis, hetero, able-bodied, upper middle class, you know the list, this dominant culture that sets that group as the norm and makes everyone else the other. I charge you to name that overarching goal that will guide you towards creating multicultural, anti-racist, beloved community, a place where the human family lives whole and reconciled. Charge number 2. Charge number 1 might be a little daunting. So here's the good news. The good news is that this work of building such a community begins right here with your relationships, with each other, with Reverend Florence, and with yourself. Healthy relationships are built on direct, in-person communication, on listening deeply across and with all of our beautiful and amazing and sometimes difficult differences, on seeing each other whole, on integrating long-timers and newcomers, such a live issue here for you in this growing community, on sharing a cup of coffee in conversation instead of sending an email in haste. These intimate connections are the building blocks for beloved community. I charge you to see everything that you do in this congregation through this lens, asking this question: is what I'm doing, is what we're doing now, helping to build healthy relationships or not? Is what I'm doing, is what we are doing together now, helping to build healthy relationships or not? I charge you to focus on your relationships. Charge number 3. Oh, dear ones, you probably already know this. We think of building relationships as something we do every single day and all the time, but in truth, building healthy relationships takes courage, humility, and persistence. Deirdre has said it so powerfully, and Joe has read it so beautifully. She says, "It is only through our collective healing that we can heal our generational wounds from living in a society steeped in fear and imbalance for so long. These wounds have robbed all of us of precious parts of our humanity. But we don't all have the same wounds, because the system doesn't work on all of us in the same way. It takes courage, humility, and persistence to look honestly and tenderly at the root cause of what ails this country. And my colleagues and I, my companions on this journey and I, name it as white supremacy culture. Many of us call. It takes the courage and humility and persistence to look honestly and tenderly at this root cause, this white supremacy culture, to see how it is affecting us, how it is affecting our congregations, how it is affecting our city, our county, our state, our country, and the world. And then it takes courage, humility, and persistence to let this newly clear vision guide us in how we want to be and in what we are called to do. The road to beloved community, it is long. It has loop-de-loops, and it veers off into detours, and it runs into dead ends, and then it finds its way again. But it leads, I promise you, it leads to a palpable sense of aliveness and joy. Qualities that I already sense and feel among you right here, right now. You have what you need. So I charge you to be even more brave, to be profoundly humble, and to be determinedly persistent as you build beloved community. 3 charges then. Set an overarching goal in order to build the beloved community. Focus on healthy relationships. Be brave and humble and persistent. You, Unitarian Universalist Church of Urbana-Champaign, are in a time of extraordinary vigor and health. You have resources to fund your journey. You have a newly installed minister whose heart is broken wide open to both the pain and the beauty of this world. Everything in her life has led her to this call, to this love story with you. So fulfill these charges, my darlings, all the while singing your love song. It looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you. And I know that as you do, this road will lead you to love itself.
Well, here we are. At the end of the unrepeatable moment of our celebration of shared ministry and act of installation, complete. And yet it feels that in each speaker's words, in each song we heard from within the congregation, from without of the congregation, we were given mighty tasks, mighty charges. And I just want to say that I have complete and total faith that we can do this because we have each other. And there are, as someone said, if you include all the people we're connected to, there are thousands of us here. Not just hundreds, but thousands or tens of thousands. And we create a powerful force for good. And so all we have to do is keep going forward together. And I look forward to our adventures and our discoveries and our deepening into love together. And with that, we will extinguish this chalice. Some of you know the words that have been coming up. You don't need to know them, but if you know them, feel free to join in. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.